सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तपोभिक्षीण पापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। पेज 39, श्लोका नंबर 13। paṃcaprāṇamanobuddhi daśendriyasamanvitam apaṃcīkṛtabhūtotthaṃ sūkṣmāṅgaṃ bhogasādhanam। Yesterday we saw what is sthula sharira, paṃcīkṛta pancha mahabhutayah, karma sanchitam bhogayatanam sukha dukkhana. So that which is made up of the 5 grossified elements, that which is karma sanchitam, the accumulation of all the good and bad that we have done in the earlier life, that kind of designs purely based on our sense of attachment. Whenever I say attachment, the understanding should be that both likes and dislikes stem out from attachment only. Attachment for something is called like, attachment away from something is called dislike, to put it very lightly. So based on that, we create patterns of blueprint. And these patterns of blueprint is what decides how that body gets designed. And it is this body that becomes the gateway for the counter for sukha dukkhanam bhoga ayatanam. Ayatanam, that which is the abode of, the gateway of these experiences. Through this body we experience it. Such one is called the sthula sharira. I am not going into the details of how paṃcīkṛtaṇam happens. Do I need to go through that? Okay, good. paṃcaprāṇamanobuddhidaśendriyasamanvitam, that which is a combination of, a conglomerate of these following 17. What are the 17? 5 pranas, 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, 15, 15. Mana, buddhi, mind, intellect. So total 17. 3 sets of 5 and mana and buddhi. This is called the sūkṣma sharira. How is this sūkṣma sharira made? The sūkṣma sharira is made up of the apaṃcīkṛta paṃcamahabhūtayaha apaṃcīkṛtabhūtotthaṃ. These are called the rudimentary elements. Rudimentary elements, the very basic, subtle form, before they have been grossified. They have expressed but not yet grossified. They have manifest but not yet grossified. Such ones come together, and again the sattvic, tamasic, rajasic, various aspects have been created. Various aspects meaning what? These 17 aspects have been created. And it becomes the bhogasādhanam. The experiences are being cherished, however they are, good, bad, ugly, horrifying, however it is, we experience it because of this sūkṣma sharira. Understand the earlier one, the sthula sharira, as an infrastructure, a framework, hardware. Now this one is the software. But being attached with it excessively, we end up being nowhere. That is our Jiva story. Now, one thing to understand here very clearly, the air that we breathe in and out is not the prana. The subtler aspect of it is that air that we breathe brings in the life force, because of which the entire internal system is enlivened. Paṃcaprāṇa. The paṃcaprāṇa is that movement physiologically, because of whose movements all the internal organs, the 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, the various aspects of these paṃcaprāṇa, because of these movements, the energy that which we have after what we consume, that energy that is produced, it is dissipated. And because of this dissipation of energy caused by these paṃcaprāṇas, the hunger and thirst is the result of it. Therefore, when we offer the naivedya to Bhagavan, it is offered to that paṃcaprāṇa at a samashti level. Now, what does prana do? It brings in the enlivening force. Next is apāna. Apāna is that because of which there is excretory system possible. Various kinds of excretion, and it happens because of the apāna. When you go to a Ayurvedic doctor, they check the nadi. They hold your wrist and check, and they can exactly tell which one of these 5 is functioning optimally, which one of them is acting cranky. Prana, apana. Vyana. Vyana is easy to understand. What does a van do? A van takes things and transports it to wherever necessary. So Jnana is that which transports the energy to wherever required. At this point, the hearing has to be sharp, the processing has to be sharp. So where is the energy being diverted? Converged into that processing, into that listening. Supposing you are morning jogging, walking, yoga. So Jnana is that capacity of this pancaprāṇa wherein wherever the energy is required, it is supplied to those limbs. After eating, they say sit in vajrasana. Why? So that after the heart and brain, the maximum amount of blood is in the thigh region. And it has to be bandha. You have to curtail it so that you can divert it to Madhya Pradesh. If the Madhya Pradesh is pleasant, then 80% of Uttar Pradesh is also pleasant. If Madhya Pradesh goes on a strike, then Uttar Pradesh there will be gadbad. Why are you like that? What to tell you, Swamiji? Something happening in my Madhya Pradesh. Therefore, people when they get angry, their behavior patterns, when they are hungry, their behavior pattern completely changes. You'll see them specifically in the kids. As we grow, we tend to manage it. So the mother knows, why is this fellow cranky? Because Madhya Pradesh is demanding. So therefore, Uttar Pradesh is acting up. There's a direct link. So, prana, apana, vyana, udana. Udana is that because of which there is the possibility of the mind to jump into things that which are unknown, inquisitiveness, and also to have spark of thinking out of the box to find solutions, then udana is activated. In layman's terms, whenever we are focusing on to find a jugaad, then udana is acting up. What is jugaad? Jugaad is to find out of the box solutions. In some, they would say it is shortcuts. Udana is also very specifically required for, especially in the yogasana, the prakriya, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, there is a specific mention that it is this udana that helps the kundalini rise from Mooladhara all the way to the Sahasrara. The jump from one chakra to the other, it is helped by this Udana Shakti. The final transcendence of all limitations also, that trajectory to glide into the state of being is also guided by this Udana Shakti. Samana. See, until I read through Vedanta, I thought the only purpose of the nose bridge is to put glasses. It is only after reading through Vedanta we come to understand that there is Ida and Pingala, two channels of the air that we breathe. And depending on the environment that we are in, it acts like the regulator to control the body temperature at the optimal required 37 degrees. Presently we are in a controlled, conditioned environment. AC का मतलब वही है ना, air that is conditioned. As soon as we step into this environment, outside it may have been windy, outside it may have been sultry, outside it may have been hot. The moment we come inside, one of the nostrils gets blocked. The right nostril is the Surya Nadi, the left nostril is the Chandra Nadi. So when the right nostril is activated, the body starts heating up. When the left, then the body starts cooling down. In this cooling process, there is the sweat glands that are triggered into action so that externally the body can cool down so that the temperature is maintained. Now, who is acting up all these different processes? Very subtle. Until we listen to this or come through this, we don't even realize. Therefore, throughout the day, we find that one of the nostril is predominantly functioning. The other seems to get blocked. And not sinus. It is blocked because it is trying to regulate the temperature. One of the reasons why we are asked to wake up very early in the Brahma Muhurta Kala is because that is the best time when both of these are open and balanced. Both the nostrils are available. Otherwise, the rest of the time it is busy trying to regulate. And we abuse the system quite a bit without understanding or knowing. The in and out, the kind of things, the tea or coffee that has to come, it has to be simmering hot. Like kholta hua, ubalta hua, straight from the stove to the gut. What sudden impact! Now the body is challenged that so much hot stuff is provided and now it has to cool it down. So all this balance, sense of balance, while we were learning how to walk, we must have fallen many times. But now we walk with no care to balance because there is something inside constantly balancing it. It is connected to the inner ear. But who is trying to manage that? Again, it is the samana. Samana, that which brings the system into equilibrium, balance. Now, when the eyes are functioning, it is because of the prana shakti which is enlivening, not the instrument. It is the capacity to see, the capacity to hear, the capacity to smell. All these perceptions are because of this prana shakti enlivening it. Sometimes there is a disconnect between the organ of perception and the mind. Though we are in that environment doesn't seem to go inside. The data doesn't seem to go inside. You're lost into something. When the mother is shouting from the kitchen for a quick response from the family, but the family is lost into the TV watching some match, frustrated, she comes into the hall where you are all sitting watching, turns the TV, or you are frenetically searching for your keys. And the manager of the house, also known as the mother, not being in that environment, she says, it is on the table, center table. Because the next question will be, which table? Check under the newspaper. You must have thrown the newspaper on top of it. In spite of precise instructions, our mind is so occupied that it doesn't connect with the eyes. It is not revealed, though it is right there. Or the extreme case wherein if somebody is blind or lame, or it is that functioning which has now been disconnected or being impacted. And right since the moment that we wake up until we sleep, and even through the sleep, there is constantly processing happening. Just because we have slept, it doesn't mean that the processing has stopped. Blood has to pump. Thank goodness these are all involuntary actions. Imagine if we were given responsibility of it. Like we have to water the plants or various things that which we have to keep on a certain scheduler. We would all have been only focusing on as trivial as breathe in, don't forget to breathe out. Now that you have exhaled, don't forget to breathe in. Sometimes I think these things should have been kept voluntary. We would not have been such a menace to the world around. We would have been busy, occupied. Shh, disturb me. I am pumping my blood. I am digesting my food. Now when you sleep, the digestion is happening. Once you get to a certain age, if you eat a little late, it throws you off balance. Why? Digestion doesn't happen. ఏమిటో తిన్నా కానీ బండరాయిలా కూర్చొని ఉంది లోపల, అరగట్లేదు. So there are two extremes. Either we go with Isabgol or Hajmola, something which helps. Who is doing it even when you are asleep? While sleeping, you may feel a little hot, but by the time you wake up, you see that you have a bed sheet on you. When did you pull it? Sometimes we don't even remember that we have pulled it on. As the night dips in, the temperature is going down and we feel cold. There is the bed sheet pulled over because you want the warmth. What is acting to make sure that these things are balanced? This is the sūkṣma sharira, without whose proper functioning, and even with its proper functioning, we have misunderstanding, lack of understanding, wrong understanding, no understanding. Imagine if any one of these goes a little wonky, life will become miserable. Sūkṣma Sharira does a thankless job. Constantly, persistently, till the moment we kick the bucket. Until then, yes, the jiva leaving the body is also an act of the last act of the prana as udana. So to remember it becomes easy. Udana, udana. To jump out of this. So all these actions are done by this prana shakti. Therefore, there is hunger and thirst. Therefore, when we are feeding, who is it that we are feeding to? It is to satiate this prana shakti. First time I heard it, it was not intuitive, because the understanding is there is hunger here, I put the food and therefore I am satiated. So it is the pranas that are satiated. A very subtle process. Continuing. The most confusing aspect of Vedanta. And that is the Karana Sharira. However many times we read it, it still feels कुछ तो missing है. Something is missing in this. Why? We will see it. anādyavidyā'nirvācyā kāraṇopādhirucyate. This is the definition of Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira done. Because the next line, it is not with regards to Karana Sharira. The next line says, upādhitritayādanyamātmānamavadhārayet. The second line is describing the transcendence of these three bodies. So it is not with regards to Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira definition and explanation is given in 16 syllables. Done. Swamiji, that is why probably it is so confusing. Why? They have not given enough explanation. There is not much to give. I remember that was my very first question in this very hall as I came here. Remember? anādyavidyā'nirvācyā kāraṇopādhirucyate. This is called Karana Sharira. This is the definition of Karana Sharira. Anādi avidya. Anādi. That, now here whenever we talk about Karana Sharira, the better word to use is, instead of translating the meaning of Anādi as beginningless, say it as that whose beginning cannot be ascertained. Instead of saying it as beginningless, say it as that whose beginning cannot Avidya, ignorance. Anirvācyā, this is like not just a sixer, it is out of the stadium. That which cannot be defined. Now when somebody says that which cannot be defined, what else do you expect to define it? But still we will try. This anadi, avidya, anirvācyā tattva, karana sharira, because it is of the state of ignorance, we go into sleep. In sleep is where we experience this. Though it is called the causal body, not the casual body, causal body, because of this layer, because of this body, it causes the rest of the domino effect. And why is it called the causal body? What does it cause? In Ishvara, when he is creating, the Maya Shakti has first Vikshepa Shakti, then Avarana Shakti. For him it is a Shakti. It is his inseparable capacity. By the time the individuality takes shape, when it occurs, this Maya becomes avidya, Mula Prakriti. And avidya takes shape in the effect, the same two things, but in disorder. Order is Ishvara, where first Vikshepa happens, then Avarana. We have already discussed it in the earlier part. Whereas in the individuality, first Avarana happens, therefore we are compelled to Vikshepa. Avarana, we do not recognize our own true nature. We are ignorant about our true nature. Classic question if you have gone through the self-unfoldment study group. There is a chapter later in the book which talks about vasana and karma. That we perform the karma because of vasana, and those vasanas exist because of earlier karma. Those karma exist because of vasana. Wait a second. What is the first one? Which one among these two is the first one? Is it karma or is it vasana? I remember having asked this question to Gurudev himself, as though found a glitch in the entire Vedantic understanding. And Gurudev's classic answer was, your question is wrong. And as puzzled faces that we had, how can it be wrong? You gave that logic in self-unfoldment. No, that loop is correct. But the question to ascertain which one among these is first is a wrong question. Then what should be the question? What is causing this loop? What is this causing this cyclical movement between karma and vasana. The root is avidya, ignorance, and its branches it branches out into avidya, kama, karma. Avidya. And before we jump into karma, there is kama, which is vasana. What is the root cause? The root cause is this avidya. Therefore, it is called the karana, the primordial cause for us to be in this loop. Now, what do we try? We try to somehow manage this cycle so that we can get out of it. Getting out of it is not by managing this cycle, but that which is causing it. Supposing you come into this room and this room has not been used for a very long time. The last time somebody used, they forgot 2 bananas, 2 laddus, pratyaksha saksha. Everybody is like, kahan pe hai andar? Forgot. I went, the room was locked, the key is with the security, nobody has a need to come, and then you enter. It has a very strange feel to it as you enter. To remove that bad smell, vasana. To remove that vasana, you provide, that is a vikara, you provide samskara. अगरबत्ती लगाओ, रूम फ्रेशनर को पंप करो, does it really take care of the issue? It might give you the scope of opportunity to look for the cause. Because many of us think that infusing samskara is sadhana. Infusing samskara into us is only that time gap opportunity created so that the mind is less agitated and can be more focused on getting out of the loop. Growing from tamasic to rajasic to sattvic through the help of these samskaras, the idea is not to remain a samskari. Because many of us get limited by the definition of thinking that sadhana means to stop here. No, it is to create that opportunity where the mind's restlessness and lack of focus is removed, it is brought to focus so that it can identify this cause and work towards removing it at that causal level. So the entire sadhana is to work only on avarana shakti's removal. Vikshepa shakti continues. The body still remains. The internal equipment of mana, buddhi, chitta remains. The vyavaharik prapancha, that which we have created, the jiva srishti, that also continues. So how does a jnani function in this world? He is abiding in that jnana, but functioning in this vikshepa. Whereas we are completely enveloped in avarana and vikshepa is attached to. Where does the detachment come from? Initially we create that detachment based purely on our intellectualization. Capacity to discriminate that which is Atma and Anatma. Viveka should lead to evolve into Vairagya. But that is pure intellectualization. For a jnani, it is not because of intellectualization that there is a Vairagya that is brought forth. The sense of Satyatva Buddhi, starting from idam shariram, from this sharira, mana, buddhi, to the outside world, that Satyatva Buddhi is completely wiped out clean. How is the prapancha seen? How is this kshetra seen? From the standpoint of not being a witness, but being Satchidananda Paramatma, which is the adhisthana for this entire creation. There's a huge difference. One is still a thought process, the other is from the aparokshanubhuti. Therefore, the outside field of kshetra does not carry even an iota of impression on that Mahatma. Whereas for us, still there is avarana, therefore we are susceptible to it until we reach there. Because ajnana is not removed. Though ajnana is removed, because of prarabdha, the sharira, mana, buddhi and its interaction with the outside world continues. The complete effect of Maya is still not gone. Jivan Mukti is ascertained, but the complete annihilation is done only when the body is left, and at that point we call it as Videha Mukti. Meaning until then there is a trace of that Maya still there because of that prarabdha. But one definite aspect of this Maya Shakti is completely eradicated, and that is Avarana Shakti. At that Videha Mukti, even the Vikshepa Shakti is completely dissolved. This subtlety has to be grasped. Many times we miss it, therefore it leads to a lot of questions. This is like the understanding which I finally got after reading Panchadashi, Ashtavakra Gita and Mandukya together. Then this understanding is ascertained. That up until that point, there is still that trace of Maya Shakti which is in the form of Vikshepa Shakti. Still they are not bound by it, though there seems to be a field of action that they are engaged in because of the pressure of that prarabdha. Since there is no avarana Shakti, they are not susceptible to any impressions created, thus thereby dragging another life. So, Karana Sharira is that which causes all of this. But when did it begin? Why is it called that whose beginning cannot be ascertained? Whenever the creation began, before the Jivatva came into being, by the Ishvara, first one, the Ishvara came to be, from being Purna Brahma into Ishvaratva, and the Srishti is there. But when did the time begin for this individual? Only later. Now time is, as Guruji puts it very beautifully, says, it is the interval between two experiences. Now for that experience to exist, there has to be a sūkṣma sharira. For that to be, there has to be. So that which cannot be timed, that which is before time, how can you ascertain? If the child is looking through your own child, when they were young, they were looking through your marriage photos and starts arguing with you. Why am I not in the photo? See, this is something which is before you were conceived. Your time had not begun yet. This is one way of understanding. Another way of understanding it is how it is anadi. Have you ever experienced Timbuktu or Siberia? Do you know how to speak Chinese, Mandarin? Don't shock me by saying yes. It is supposed to be an example. So, do you know how to speak Chinese? Since when do you not know? I don't know, never ever. Can you ever explain it properly as to when was that never ever? Cannot be ascertained. anādyavidyā'nirvācyā, therefore cannot be put in words. Literally cannot be put in words. I have heard Guruji say, well, you come to the teacher or Vedanta Shravana for knowledge, and this is ignorance, therefore it is anirvācyā. Not our field of study. All that we know, that is the cause, and the cause has to be removed. It seems when this question was asked to Gurudev, when did this avidya begin? So Gurudev gave a huge number, 7,000 crore, this huge number. This many times this stupid question has been asked. See, when you go out for a morning walk and you come back, as you come into your shoe area, there is a stench that you experience. You start checking frenetically because it's quite disturbing smell. Then you realize that as you are walking in the pre-dawn, you stepped on something which is causing this stench. What do you do immediately? क्या करोगे? Take it out, take a pressured pump and hit it and wash it away. There, do you sit trying to analyze where did this come from? Who must have done it? What must they have eaten? They were meaningless questions. Does it make sense? That is the nature of this avidya. It's futile to go beyond, to understand anything beyond avarana and vikshepa. Avarana is the one that is disturbing, distracting. And remove that, vikshepa will go that where there is videha mukti. Is that much clear? No questions? Pakka? Okay. I mean, after giving that example, you shouldn't have any questions. Now, the next part of the sentence. upādhitritayādanyamātmānamavadhārayet. These are the three conditionings or upadhis. Upādhitritayādanyam. Something which is other than these, that is called Atma Chaitanya. That which is enlightening this, that which is enlivening it, enabling it to function, that is my true nature, core of my own being. The rest of them are just the conditionings. Just because there is a conditioning, the conditioning need not be shattered. Just the understanding that has to come, that behind the conditionings, it is that principle, and that principle is my true nature. Your child is wearing makeup. Heavy makeup and all the drama things are put on. They are on the stage. You have recorded it and you are showing it to your family, the extended family. What beautiful drama it was. And my child, see, when the school is taking the video, they will take it from a very impartial standpoint. When you have recorded it, the others become out of focus. What becomes in focus? Your child. The main act may be happening somewhere else, but you are focusing on this child and their action. So the family is asking, where is your fellow? You say, with this character. once you pay attention and come to realize that behind all these masks and makeup, it is this child. Is it the understanding or is it the complete removal of that which is there on the top that has to, that vikshepa? No, in spite of that vikshepa, you come to recognize that the character is being played by this individual. Similarly, this whole thing is a vikshepa, a big drama. And the only thing that protects us to focus and get out is Rama. The only thing that we have to drop is that D. The devil called Avarana Shakti. Drop that Avarana Shakti, meaning that which is causing the confusion to identify ourselves with these three conditionings. And in order to prep the mind to be able to do that, one has to raise oneself from being tamasic to rajasic to sattvic. It creates that moment of opportunity from where I can identify my true nature, and in that knowledge alone that this avarana can be removed. No other process can remove it. That is the only way. Nanyah pantha vidyate yanaya. No other method can remove this ignorance. That should be the focus of sadhana. In Chinmaya Mission, yesterday somebody was asking, what do you follow? What do you do? Are you into seva? Are you into devotion? Are you into spirituality? I said, wait a second. The first two steps are also included in spirituality. No. There are organizations only dedicated for seva. There are organizations dedicated only for devotion. There are organizations that are spiritual, Jnana. Even within Chinmaya Mission, there is the wrong understanding that the focus should be only on Jnana. All the rituals should be avoided. Arre Baba, that is also a required aspect. Seva is equally required. The puja, japa, havan, all these are required. Tirtha yatras are also required. But as a preparatory gesture to create that room of sattvikata, so that the opportunity to focus on the true nature is provided, and that happens only through jnana. Jnanat evatu kaivalyam, natu anyatha. Nothing else can provide that. Hope that gives a comprehensive picture. We will stop here to continue tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम।